Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I am so thrilled to have you here today. We are going to be breaking down the rapidly shifting dynamics of the global automotive industry, and specifically, we're focusing on one of its absolute most fascinating players right now, BYD. We'll be relying purely on the latest source data to unpack how this company evolved from, just a regional manufacturer into an undeniable true global powerhouse. So get comfortable and let's just get right into it.
Real quick before we jump into the numbers, a quick note. This explainer is strictly for informational and educational purposes only. We're impartially analyzing the source material here just to understand the business and market trends. So we aren't taking any political sides, and this is definitely not financial advice. We are just going to let the data tell the story. And man, what a story it is. Look at this number, 4.8%. In the first half of 2026, BYD captured a staggering 4.8% of the entire global automotive market. And to really grasp the gravity of that, we have to rewind just 10 years. Back in 2016, BYD was this tiny, niche player holding a mere 0.6% of the market. Going from less than 1% to nearly 5% in a single decade, that is nothing short of an explosive transformation. Okay, let's dive into this hierarchy because it really shows you the new world order in automotive manufacturing. BYD is now officially the sixth largest automaker on Earth. They are standing shoulder to shoulder with absolute titans. You've got Toyota leading the pack at 11%, Volkswagen right behind at 8.1%, and then, right there in the mix, is BYD at 4.8%. They are trailing just behind Hyundai at 7.6%, Stellantis at 6%, and Renault at 5.4%. What's wild is this means three Chinese automakers, BYD, Geely, and Chery, now collectively command a massive 13.5% of the global market.
So here is our roadmap for today's masterclass. We'll be going through the global automotive Goliath, the financial paradox, the global invasion, the technology arsenal, and finally, speed bumps ahead. While we've already teased their mammoth global standing, we're going to really look under the hood at the stark financial realities and the aggressive foreign expansion driving this company. Part 1. The Global Automotive Goliath. From niche to top tier. Part 2. The Financial Paradox. Massive scale, but shrinking margins.
Now, what's really interesting here is the underlying narrative twist. We've established this 10-year climb firmly cements BYD as a foundational pillar of modern global auto manufacturing. But, surface numbers rarely tell the whole story. You'd think a company dominating global market share is just printing money, right? However, their massive scale actually masks a severe financial whiplash in 2026. Take a look at their recent export boom in July. Nearly 180,000 vehicles exported. That's up over 124% year over year. Exports are now a whopping 43% of their total sales. But contrast that with their internal financial reality. In the first quarter of 2026, their vehicle sales actually plummeted 30% to roughly 700,000 units. Revenue dropped nearly 12%, and their net profit, it took a brutal 55.4% nosedive down to 4.09 billion yuan.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is understanding why this is happening. This financial bleeding stems from a crisis in their home market. BYD has actually suffered 13 consecutive months of domestic sales decline in China. In May alone, domestic sales were down 24% year over year. Why? Well, they are locked in a bruising price war with rivals like Geely, Leapmotor, and Xiaomi, and it is just squeezing their margins dry. Add in Q1 exchange rate losses that caused financial expenses to jump to 2.1 billion yuan, and yeah, you have a really tough situation. Despite analysts projecting 24% full-year earnings growth and a slight recovery in July, hitting their annual target of 5 to 5.5 million vehicles, that remains highly precarious. They literally need to average 530,000 sales a month for the rest of the year just to hit the low end of that goal.
Part 3. The Global Invasion. Escaping domestic weakness.
That immense domestic pressure brings us directly into their strategic pivot. BYD's aggressive global push isn't just about corporate vanity or simple growth. It is a vital, totally necessary escape from their domestic vulnerabilities. They have to win abroad to offset the price wars at home. Let's take a rapid-fire tour of the globe to see how this invasion is actually playing out. In Europe, they are surging. In May, European sales jumped 136.6% year over year, capturing a 2.8% share, and they actually outsold Tesla by almost 3,800 units. In Italy, their Dolphin surf models saw 195% growth and became the country's best-selling EV in July. A Rome dealership even reported massive customer interest during August, which, if you know the auto industry, is usually a totally dead month for car sales. Over in Southeast Asia, it's wild. They hold a 21% share in Thailand and a crazy 30.73% market share in Indonesia. They even beat out Toyota for bookings at the Bangkok Motor Show, surpassing 130,000 total deliveries in Thailand. But it's not easy everywhere. I want to read this really stark quote from Fitch Ratings analyst Satoru Aoyama to kind of ground our analysis here. He noted that BYD's efforts reflect a long-horizon brand-building strategy more than a near-term volume play. And this is absolutely true in notoriously difficult markets like Japan. BYD recently introduced the Racco, which translates to sea otter, by the way, and it's a K-class electric minicar tailored for narrow Japanese roads. While they got 1,000 orders in their first 2 weeks, recent policy changes slashed their subsidies. So the BYD Racco sits at a 2 million yen price point, while local competitors like Honda's N1e can cost as little as 1.2 million yen with full subsidies. So BYD is fighting a very long, very strategic war here. Let's move along and see how this builds, because this strategy isn't just about putting cars on boats and shipping them. We are seeing a massive push to establish local manufacturing ecosystems. They entered the Indonesian EV market in early 2024 and have already sold over 97,000 EVs since. In early 2026, they signed a memo of understanding in Malaysia for local bus assembly, and incredibly crucially, their first European plant in CITED, Hungary, is scheduled to begin production in Q4 of 2026. They really want to be an embedded part of the local ecosystem. Though it is worth noting, a planned $1 billion Turkish plant has currently been put on hold.
Part 4. The Technology Arsenal. Weapons for Conquest. Breaking into these new markets requires way more than just competitive pricing. It requires undeniable quality and relentless high-end technological innovation. And the newly launched Dahan EV, a flagship sedan revealed at the Chengdu Motor Show, brilliantly illustrates these offensive capabilities. It is designed to completely shatter old consumer expectations of Chinese vehicles. Just look at these specs. It boasts a phenomenal 1,008-kilometer range on its rear-wheel drive variants. It is absolutely massive, over 5.2 meters long with a 3,130-millimeter wheelbase. And it features the industry's longest seamless light bar at 2.41 meters. It even packs a 31-speaker Divi-LED audio system. The company claims it integrates 44 globally leading technologies, and all for a pre-sale price starting around $36,850 up to $44,200. It is a true spec-heavy titan.
But the real magic is what powers it: the second-generation blade battery and flash charging technology. Walk through this timeline with me to really get the so what factor here. Step 1. You can charge from 10% to 70% in just 5 minutes. That is unbelievably fast. Step 2. You can go from 10% to almost full, 97%, in just 9 minutes. And step 3, which is perhaps the most impressive, even in the extreme cold of negative 30 degrees Celsius, models like the Denza Z9 GT can charge from 20% to 97% in just 12 minutes. This technology effectively eliminates EV range anxiety, and it's driving exceptionally strong orders across their new lineup, like the Song Ultra EV and the Sea Lion 7.
And what's amazing is how this advanced blade battery tech scales down to lucrative emerging markets. Take India, for example. BYD launched the entry-level Sea Lion 7 dynamic variant there with an introductory price of around $50,000, and it still packs a 71.8 kilowatt-hour blade battery, providing a claimed 520 kilometers of range. It's delivering massive value to entry-level buyers, and it's working. They've already surpassed 4,000 units on Indian roads. Part 5. Speed bumps ahead. The risks to global dominance. But as with all incredible growth stories, physics dictates that friction will eventually take hold. Let's bring ourselves back down to earth for a second and look at the imminent threats that could derail BYD's global ambitions. To summarize these critical vulnerabilities, we have to look at both internal and external pressures. Internally, we talked about that protracted domestic sales weakness and shrinking profit margins caused by brutal price wars against local rivals like Xiaomi. But externally, as BYD exports more, they face rising protectionism. Trade barriers and tariffs are increasing across Europe and Southeast Asia. On top of that, production bottlenecks are causing battery capacity shortages, which is delaying key model deliveries. And remember that vital Hungary manufacturing plant? As we touched on, production there has been delayed to the fourth quarter of 2026. So while their export numbers look totally stellar right now, compounding trade barriers and production delays represent severe, real risks to this international life raft they are trying to build. Which leaves us with this final, provocative question. We've seen the data, we've seen the staggering 10-year growth, the massive tech advancements, but also the shrinking margins and geopolitical friction.
So I leave you to ponder this. Is BYD's unprecedented overseas expansion strong enough to overcome its domestic and geopolitical hurdles? Are we simply looking at a Chinese champion hitting its peak? Or are we witnessing the birth of the new, undisputed global standard for the automotive industry? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep analyzing, and I'll catch you on the next one.